what about the monitoring tool? And what I'm describing here, what I feel some of the key elements or key attributes of a monitoring product, a monitoring tool. So again, I won't read from the slides. These are available for you to download as well, but I'll highlight some of the key points here. First, I'll talk about the difference between QoS and QoE. So I think it's important to look at both. QoS, quality of service, is essentially how well is my content being delivered. So it's about the delivery, as opposed to QoE, quality of experience, I think is more about the content, right? So we can have viewer issues due to QoS, and that will be, there's download errors from the fragments, things like that. Whereas a QoE issue might be resulting from encoding at a too low a bit rate, right? So you've got a high amount of compression artifacts. You don't have a good quality of experience for the viewer, even though the delivery is fine, the encoding is fine. It's just set up to not provide as clean a picture as perhaps we could have delivered to them. Another example from here, talking about API control. This is actually something that Billy's going to touch on later, what they've implemented at Fubo. So a key element of monitoring is the ability to scale alongside with what the services that you're delivering. So if you've got 100 channels, 100 live streaming channels, each of those is many representations in the ABR bitrate ladder. We need our monitoring tool to be able to look at all of that simultaneously, aggregate that up, and bring it back to a usable dashboard. And a key part of that is an API where you can pull the necessary metrics that you want and basically play with the data and make it available in a way that's more meaningful for your operators. So again, I don't want to steal Billy's thunder here, but he's got a great example of where they need to bring some of the stats from the monitoring tool and correlate those with other pieces of equipment. And the way of doing that is a unified dashboard where you've got talking to the API of multiple devices. It's another good example. So talking about thresholds and alerts. It's possible for a monitoring system to produce too much data, right? If I'm talking about that scale of hundreds of channels and many representations on each channel, that's the possibility of generating a tremendous amount of data. So it's useful sometimes to be able to go back and look at a moment in time. And if we had viewer complaints that from a program that was airing from 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock, we had some issues. You can go back and pull that data out of the database and take a look at what was happening at that time. So it's useful to save all that data, but you don't necessarily want to bombard an operator with a lot of issues. And that's where a good threshold and alerting system comes into play. The ability to set, at what point do I actually want to send a notification to someone, whether it's an email or a Slack message or something like that.